Hi, everybody. My name is Amber Hassani. I work as an architect in Dell Technologies. Today, I'm here to actually showcase a short demo of how do you leverage Boomi Atom runtime on a Dockerized host. Given the Atom's strong value proposition of being a multi-cloud run anywhere construct, it anyway can be run on Windows machine as simple as a laptop or a server or a Linux host. The prominence of it being deployed on Docker further extends its capabilities as a ubiquitous runtime that can be run anywhere and anywhere, especially in the era of Kubernetes, right? So let's get started. I think, just to give you a short context, what you need actually is one, a Dockerized host with Docker Compose installed on it, obviously. And secondly, you need a training account or an account with Boomi. Now, Boomi graciously extends, an account of sorts which you can actually experiment with. If you haven't done so, you can just Google it up. How do you sign up for one and get started? Now, what we are going to show in this whole demo is we're going to have a Docker host with Docker runtime, and then we will deploy the Atom as the bearer of the Boomi processes, right? Which are then controlled from the cloud through what is called as Atom Sphere. Atom Sphere is the control plane that exists in the cloud, and all the configurations, deployments are there. The configurations are there in the cloud, which get executed on a local runtime, if you may so. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is, if you look at the URL platform.boomi.com, assume that you've already signed up for the account. So when you land up, you will see this kind of page. And if you go to manage, you can see what is the term is called as environments. Now, environments is a logical construct to host a group of atoms and all the processes which are actually getting deployed into the environment. A process is a software process. It's let's say a model of actually, or is a way to model your software interactions into a process and then gets deployed on an atom. So what we need right now is to define a new environment. So let's just click on one. I already have a demo environment, so skip that. We will define an environment, and in doing so, you just give it a name. Let's say Docker test. Your environment could be of the type production or test, and you can read more on that. Once you define the environment, what you get is an environment ID. An environment ID obviously is a unique ID that helps you identify the environment. So we're just going to take this environment ID, which we will use for our, Atom installation, and just put it here on a notepad. The second thing, if you have, or if this is your first time, we're going to now start to create an Atom in this environment. Now, Atom can be actually installed in many different ways, right? So the first thing would be, I click on new and new Atom. You can see that, the Atom can be preferably deployed in a local environment, which is basically, my own backyard, or it could be also in the Boomi cloud. Now, this is distinct or different than having Atom Sphere as a cloud control plane versus Atom as a runtime, which could be local or in Boomi cloud. And it could be leveraged on or deployed on a 64-bit Windows machine or on a Linux host. None of which we are actually going to do today. We are going to use Docker. So let's click on security options. Boomi gives you a way to actually very securely bootstrap an Atom installation through a token mechanism. Now, if you look at this link, which will generate a token for me, okay, and you can see the keyword Atom is actually prepended to the string, which says that, this is an Atom installer token. I need this token to be available with me when I start the, Atom installation on a Docker host. So let's just copy this and put it on to the notepad. Okay. So a couple of things. Let me go back to the console here. The token is valid for one instance only, which means if your Atom comes up and it connects to the platform detects the token, you cannot reuse this token for another installation, right? And there is a validity of the token. So obviously it's a secure way of actually kind of bootstrapping the Atom. Okay, so now that we have the Atom token and the environment ID, time to move on to the Docker host. So I have a Linux machine here, and I have what we say is Docker installed on it, and it is inactive. Let me just restart the session. Okay, so I have Docker installed here, and I have Docker Compose installed here. Good. Nothing else. Okay, there's a directory. Let me just remove this so that we have a fresh start. So where do you get the Docker manifest or the Docker Compose? We go to my GitHub URL. There is a repository. So the Cloud Garage, which is my account, and then there is a repository Boomi-examples. While there are many different things I keep, it's a work in progress always. It has different shapes and different times of the day. But the one that I wanted to focus is a subdirectory here called as Atom Docker. Inside this Atom Docker is a Docker Compose file. And within that, there is a service defined, which clearly outlines, what is going to be the image. The image is Boomi provides a stable release for the Atom. So you're going to take that as an image, and you're going to run a privileged container since it's a test environment. And what you need to change right now is two things, line number 11 and line number 12. So the install token, if you see, I have a placeholder here, which is saying Boomi token, and another placeholder which says Boomi environment ID. Note that there are no white spaces or any spaces between the two strings actually. So whatever we copied or what we took note of from the platform .boomi.com, we have to simply paste it here or swap it out with these variables, right? The name of the Atom and things like that, you can keep it as is, or you can change it as per your will, right? So the other important thing is, there is a sort of persistence that I've built into this Docker host, so that in case the Atom restarts and all that, so the persistent volume is mapped for the host volume. The default port assignment is 9090. You can change it, but let's just keep it that way right now. So we will clone this repo. So let's take the URL. If you are on a Windows machine and you're willing to do things on Windows, you can just simply download the zip and get started. I'm on a Linux machine, so let's just clone this. And we will get into the parent directory. You will see that there is the subdirectory that we saw on my page, atom-doc. Let's get into this. And you can see the Docker Compose file here. And as I mentioned, we will have to edit these two specifics, the Boomi token and the Boomi environment ID. How do I do that? Let's just edit the file and come to this variable here and swap out the token. Note that I'm not leaving any space after the equal to sign. Let's take this variable token here, paste it here, and the same for the environment ID. Okay. So what do we think will happen next? I'm gonna start up my Docker Compose. I'm gonna bring up the container environment, and it will download the image. So it's an obvious fact, but stating it nevertheless is that you need this machine on which you are running Docker to be connected to the internet and be able to access Docker Hub. This is where you will pull the image from. So yeah, okay. So let's get the Docker up here. So you can see a series of events, which is basically the image download. Once the image downloads, it's complete, which we will wait for. It's pulling out. Okay. And you can see that it's started to create the container. Let's see. Okay, from this side, it looks good, which says created and status is up for 9 seconds. It's running on port number 9090, which is good. Now, the best part is, I mean, there is a secure communication going on between the atom and the atom sphere, right? And it's a two-way channel actually built up actually between. The connection is initiated from the atom. Okay. So it's good in a way actually, right? From a security standpoint, you're not getting a barrage of connections initiated from outside. It's basically inside out. Okay. Since we have the container up and running, it's time to verify if the atom is showing up on my platform. So you see, we created the environment, and the environment's name was Docker test. Let's go. You can see this atom Docker1. This is the name of the atom we gave as a variable in the Docker compose file. And right now it's showing as blue. If there was a problem or a challenge with the running of the container or the process, then it would actually show up as red, right? So right now the atom is online. With that said, you can now start to build all your integration processes and APIs and whatnot, and start to build them on the atom sphere and then deploy them to the runtime. Now, this is the good and the best part, right? I mean, it's this atom which I've just hosted and spun up. Tomorrow, if you want to actually decommission this atom and run it on some other cloud or whatever, all your configurations and definitions and processes, they are intact on the cloud. You just sway the momentum towards deploying this actually to another atom and be done with it actually, right? So from actually an application development standpoint and from a application deployment standpoint, it gives me enough ease actually, and like for me, it makes life very easy. The other best part about the whole affair is that there is a version control and a change control that can be implied in running processes on Boomi, which means I can create processes and keep deploying them with version control actually, right? And with all the artifacts documented and whatnot. We will not get into it right now. What I want you to focus is right now the Docker atom is the Dockerized atom is up. If you have enough memory and resources, I mean, on your host, which the atom will leverage in a shared environment, the default resource availability to the atom is capped at 512 megabytes of memory. Now, for intensive processes, that may not be the right fit at times. So what we need to do is, if you have enough resources, I can go and change the Java heap size. Let's say in this case, I'll make it 2 gig of memory. The moment I've saved this, I told you there is a connection which is established actually, and it's up and running between atom and this definition or the update of configuration is going to be pushed down from the atom sphere to the atom, and it will require a restart of the atom, which will be initiated accordingly. You can see that the atom properties update has been sent to the atom, and then at this point, we will have to restart the atom so that the new changes take effect. Okay, so let's just restart it. With that said, we will close this demo out. I think you should have understood, how a atom can be deployed on a Docker based instance, right? So, thank you. Have a nice day.